Hi, everybody. Before we get to another great interview, the Too Opinionated podcast could really use your help. And it's easy, it's free. IMDb, which is the entertainment database, imdb.com, named us a top 100 podcast. We came in at number 82. That's a big deal because there's 15 million podcasts and growing. So to be named to anybody's top 100 list, pretty big deal for us. And the way you can help is to go to imdb.com, look up the Too Opinionated podcast, and that's it. Just bringing our page up. That traffic really helps us out. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. All we ask is that you subscribe. It's also free, but that really helps us to attract these amazing guests that we keep bringing on the program. And that's it. 2 easy ways for you to support us, and we would really appreciate the help. Now let's get to that interview. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated. I'm so excited today. I've got director Joe Barber with me. So welcome, Joe.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me. So glad to be here, Mike.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you, and we've got a pretty interesting project to discuss. But before we get to that, let's kind of go through your background. I was a big fan of erectile dysfunction, and
Thank you.
I've had a couple of those that helped you with the project have been on the show. So we were friendly with Ed before he
Oh,
passed.
Ed Asner, yeah,
Yeah.
lovely guy.
I actually got to act a little bit with Ed. It's the only time I've ever done any acting. It was just voice work, but he was I was just playing myself. Still had a hard time with it, but he was opposite me. He was
Yeah,
the
it's hardest to be yourself. It's hardest to be natural when
That's what I keep telling people, but I think you need a little bit of acting ability.
yeah.
But we had Ed, and then Mary Gallagher's been on the show.
Okay.
Yeah, and I
Oh,
think
Mary, yeah.
yeah,
She had a movie
yeah, Holliday, I think was the name of
yeah,
it. Yeah,
yeah.
she came on and talked about that. But I enjoyed that one. But kind of give us a background. What got you into the entertainment business? At some point, did you try to act and then move, behind the camera, or has it always been behind the camera?
Well, I've been like I said, I made a documentary. That was I just had connections in the film business in Philadelphia when I lived there. I had a very large place that was great for parties. And so when the film festivals had celebrities come and promote their movies, there was a party, and the
Yep.
party was at the house, and and we hosted it. And I became very good friends with TLA Video was doing it,
Yeah.
and and through that, it just came an opportunity. People were interested in making in having a movie about politics, and so that was the erectile dysfunction genesis. And I got out of movie making for a while. I lived in LA,
Yeah.
and I was like the only person who moved to LA and wanted to put the movie business behind me.
Yeah, you're
And then
backwards there.
yeah, and then I moved north and you know got back into it because this okay, we got to tell people the name of the movie.
That's
Name of
right.
the movie is part of the best part. It's Prisoner Trump: The Dawn of Cell Block B. And
Well, so yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that title. Where did the idea come from, and how did you settle on that title?
well, I bought, sometimes I buy domain names just for the hell of it. And I bought in 2017, I bought the domain prisonertrump.com. And I thought, well, I'll find some group that's going to be interested in taking it over. But I kind of lost my political connections and I didn't have anybody. So, like, uh, I guess 6 years later, 7 years later, I still had the domain and hadn't done anything with it. Or,
Yeah.
probably, seven years later. And so I said, was talking to a friend, said, that would make a good movie. that would be a killer title. Just add, another pun. It's already a pun, a prisoner Trump from, and I just add the Don of Cell Block B.
Yeah, I love that.
That's got to make a movie about that. And I thought, an interesting subject, never ending font of material kind of there.
I like the fact that you bought the domain, really probably just planning to resell it and be done with it. And you didn't. And then you're like, well, now I got to do something with it. So
Yeah.
here we are.
Otherwise, it's going to be useless. Time is running out. It's you gotta have I'm not gonna say montage. You gotta have you want I did it because I wanted to, make a point. And so now I'm making the point in this way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that because all of us love to laugh and to poke fun, at celebrities, especially. But I think in this particular election, the adversarial context of this race makes this film especially, I'll say, important, timely, and
Timely, yes.
so talk to me a little bit about it. So we've got the title, so it kind of gives a little bit of it away. But I was telling you, I'm about halfway through it. It's hilarious, but there's a lot more involved than what you would expect. So talk a little bit about what the movie's about.
Well, it's a story. Donald Trump is pinched for, ironically, a crime he didn't commit. He didn't actually mean to commit. And it's like kind of, because he speaks in code. He's kind of like a gangster anyway. Like he'll talk, things mean different things to different audiences. So in this case, people are not sure. They know that he's not going to say what he wants. He's not, if he wants somebody to do something illegal, he's not going to say it outright. So he's going to hint at it. So it's a misunderstanding. I thought, that launches him into prison, where he's locked up with none other than Rudolph Giuliani. And they make a great team. Jim Storm did a great job as President Trump, and
he actually really does a good job of portraying him. How did you settle on Jim?
Well, it was luck, kind of. We had we booked a very well-known Trump impersonator.
Yeah.
And about 2 weeks before, like a week and a half before we were supposed to start shooting, this was like 2.5 weeks after the assassination attempt on Trump.
Yeah.
And so a week after that, week and a half before shooting, he says, "I'm stepping back from doing Trump impressions. I'm too worried about, he didn't really explain whether he was worried about other people coming after him because of the level of vitriol,
right,
or if he was, respectful of like the person he impersonates. But he dropped out. So mad rush, and it was thanks to a very good friend, Barber Crampton, who does a lot of horror movies, and it was great. She was on. Was it One Life to Live? I think.
I believe so. Yeah.
And so she helped. She had read with Jim for one of her roles, and said, he's a great actor. We couldn't use him on our production because something wasn't right, but he'd be great for you. So we interviewed him, and he nailed it. He was fantastic. And
he tried to do a Trump voice before this, or was this the first time he did?
I don't think so. No, this was his first foray. And also, we had another problem. Our Rudy, let me tell you the story of Rudy. We had we had a really great actor lined up, Ron Barber. The day before shooting, got COVID.
Oh, no.
And we had a mad rush again, and we're so happy we found Patrick Finerty to take the role, and he did a really good job of that. And
I thought he
he's
was
a
really
great
good.
comic actor. Yeah.
Because there's a little bit of like there's part of me that would be like Rudy would be the last person I'd want to be locked up with. But then there's
Yeah.
part of me of being like, well, it'd be interesting. It'd be something every day.
Yeah.
It'd
Yeah.
be it'd just be nonsense all the time. So maybe that's
He's the
okay.
sidekick, the comic relief. Well, they're both comic, but yeah, he brings a different perspective to the duo relationship there.
Yeah, well, and most people I think would know Jim from Bold and the Beautiful. He was on that for quite a bit. I was going to tell him, Jim was supposed to join us, but he's out of country, and we think maybe doesn't have a signal, so he may pop in. But regardless, I was going to let him know. I was a fan of his from like the early '70s, if you can
Oh
believe
yeah,
it, because he was in stuff like
Dark Shadows.
Dark Shadows for sure.
Yeah,
Planet of the Apes, he had an appearance. He did Police Woman. He did a whole bunch of stuff in those kind of those type of shows that when cable TV first came out, those were the shows they were showing because
yeah,
a lot of it was TBS or Chicago, and they were looking for content, so they showed a lot of that stuff from the '60s, early '70s, that type of stuff, and I watched all of
wrong
it.
rights.
And yeah, and Jim was there. Kung Fu was another one
Yeah,
that he made an appearance on. So I was always a fan of him from that. And then, he really took to that role on Bold and the Beautiful, and he was on there for forever.
yeah, yeah. And then I'm so glad he agreed to do our production, and especially because we were time crunched, and there's a lot of dialogue for Trump.
Yeah.
And because he's the star, and to have to learn like a whole script in a week and a half is kind of difficult. We had but he tackled that. We gave him a lot of license to improvise, and so a lot of that was here's the gist of what this
That's smart.
little scene is about, and go with it. Do what you want, make it your own. And he did a really great job of that.
Yeah, I
And
thought he did too. I thought he was excellent. What was it? How much difficulty did you have getting him to look like Donald Trump?
um fat suit, of course. He's a very fit, you know,
Yeah, he's in shape.
slender man. He's in really good shape. And then we had a great makeup department. I think it was like a half hour in the chair in the morning, and he was good to go. You know, Donald Trump, you just cake the face with orange paint and
Yeah.
leave out the eyes, and have some borders there, and you've
I
got it.
will say that he has a unique look.
Yeah,
I'm not sure why he chooses that look, but it's unique.
yeah. It's a lot of Botox on the real Trump. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
and the
for
hair
sure.
and the hair. Yeah,
Yeah.
the hair was a good part of the costume for on
Well,
set.
you can have there's some comedy in that hair. You can do a lot of different things with
Yeah,
that. Well, my mother has always said, especially when he was in office, that he runs the country like he's a gangster. I mean,
yeah,
just being honest, and that's kind of the theme of the movie. See,
yeah,
basically goes to prison and he kind of operates as kind of a don.
yeah. That was the point. He gets more and more involved in his own, like, success. He starts dressing like Al Capone, and I thought that was
That's pretty good.
amusing. And he's business. I tell you, my background. I'm an economist, so when
Oh,
I've got some economics lessons there, kind of hidden. I don't
I
know
like
if
that.
you've gotten there. It's a cupcake based economy he
Well, I was
makes.
just going to bring that up that
Cupcake standard.
he's right back to his normal method of operation. He's kind of of hawking the goods and stuff, but what he can do in prison, which
Yeah.
you're there, it's like cupcakes and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. You got, it may be small, but you got to start somewhere.
It's if we were in a situation where Donald Trump had to go to prison, it may happen, may not, but if we're in that situation, does it play out anywhere close to the movie?
The movie is satire and
It is
farce. It's a little
satire,
silly.
but I'm not so sure it's 100% off.
Yeah, I mean he will have Secret Service in prison, and we have Secret Service agents with him in the jail cell.
Hilarious.
And he's I've never been in prison myself. Knock on wood. So
one, I would prefer not to mark that off the bucket list.
Yeah. Who knows? With this movie, I may be targeted. I could very well happen.
Well, are you worried about that? Because that, this election, especially the most negative election on both sides that we've probably ever had. I'm not. I've been around for a bunch of them now, but this is the worst one that I can remember, just as far as the negativity on both sides. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a problem. I'm telling you that, I'll tell you there are, I've had pushback from sources who are just afraid of what would happen if he won. I've had distributors tell me, love the movie, love the concept. It's saleable. I totally back this, but, I don't want to be audited.
Right.
When if he wins, I don't want to be sued. He's very litigious. He
does
sue other movies.
Seem to be the type of person that would look for a little revenge on anybody that wronged him.
So so I'm taking a little bit of a risk. We had actors who didn't want to do it because the possible pushback. We've had some of the crew and are not credited because they don't want to be targeted.
Yeah,
and this it is. It's free speech. I make fun of him. We make fun of him. He's not. Everybody sees his flaws, and we're pointing them out and we're making fun of it. I don't think we're being too mean of him. But it's it's a little bit worrisome. Some people, as I say, people have been pushing back because they're afraid of either him getting in office and doing official acts against them, or of MAGA folks who just get so outraged that they do something really terrible.
It's pretty scary, and I didn't have any hesitation as far as bringing on the podcast, but I was a little worried for you because you just never know. It only takes one person to act like a lunatic.
Yeah. And, you hope, but, you also have to give people heart. I think that there are, that you can make fun of, you can speak truth to power. You can make fun of people. Put your face out there, and I'm not afraid. I'm doing this. I'm happy. Happy to do publicity, and it's taking a stand. It's not. I'm hoping it's not too big of a risk, but people have to be reassured that there are other people who are willing to take a stand. Like you're too opinionated. It's got an opinion. It's important to have an opinion so that other people anywhere on any opinion feel that they have a voice to speak the opinion.
Well, that's right. And I've always kind of taken that, you're entitled to whatever opinion you want, but if it's threatening to someone else, if it's causing harm, like actual harm to someone else, then that's different. You don't have a right for that. And I think people get that kind of confused. And you're also,
there are limits.
If you say something, you've got the right to say it. That also gives everybody else a right to react to it. And you can't get upset with people's reactions because that's their reactions, assuming they're not violent.
Right. Yeah. That's where you got to draw the line. Inciting people to violence and threatening violence is never okay from the right or the left. It's not how a civil society works. But I have opinion. I'm very tolerant. There are, of people who are, who are on the right side and,
That's right.
disagree with me on some things. That's what makes it democracy. And hopefully, we continue this democracy and,
Cross our
free
fingers.
press. Yeah. And I hope.
Well, you know, I grew up with a very opinionated family, and they used to love to just sit around the dinner table and argue. And it was usually political, and that they would get very passionate about it. You know, I was just a kid, but I'd kind of listen to it. All you'd hear is the raised voices and stuff. But when they were done and got up from the table, everybody was fine.
Yeah, you love each other.
Nobody was upset. It was just they actually kind of enjoyed it. You know, that they'd be back the next week to start up again.
I agree. My family, would take a position just to argue the position, just because arguing sometimes is fun, and it's a way to think about things and a way to fully form and better inform your opinions. Sometimes you change your opinions. Sometimes you modify or you take into account an argument from an opinion from somebody else. New facts come up. This is part of healthy debate.
I agree. And I think people that get upset over somebody else's views, a lot of times it's because they don't really have a good answer for whatever it is you're saying. They, you may have made a really good point. They don't really have the words maybe to respond, so they just get upset, and that's I think that's disappointing. Because everybody should be able to just, we're not all articulate, but you should be able to kind of state your opinion and why you have that opinion.
Yeah. I think, there's a concept people could look up. It's cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
It's the more that you feel your core beliefs attacked, the more closely sometimes you hold to them. And in this case, it leads people to close their ears when they know that their argument is unsupportable.
Yeah.
And so it makes it hard because it seems like an attack on them personally. And it happens to people, but you have to realize sometimes it happens to you. It happens to me sometimes.
Oh, it happens to everybody, I think. Yeah. I've definitely been in an argument and had somebody say something, and I'm like, oh, I don't have a response to that. That was really good.
Yeah.
But I don't get upset. I'm just like, oh, that was really good.
Yeah. But maybe
but
it gives you something to think about.
There's a reason. In my opinion, there's a reason that we're in this situation. Democrats were in power for a long time, and people were unhappy with how things were being run, and I think fairly in a lot of cases, and that kind of led to this nonsense, in my opinion, that we're dealing with now. And I think the Democratic Party, and they're starting to do that since they made that switch to Harris, is starting to realize that they need to make some changes because people aren't happy with a lot of the stuff they've been doing.
Yeah. It's some of the social things are important as core beliefs to Democrats.
Yeah.
But to make them, sometimes making them core can turn people off. But it's a balance between how it's like any politics. It's a balance between competing groups, and it's a balance of what you work on first. And I saw for the first time an anti-trans ad by the Republicans, and I have friends who are trans.
Yep, same.
And they're perfectly they're wonderful people, nice people, and I don't understand why, but some people, it gins some people up, and I don't know how people get so upset about their existence. And it's sad that people feel that way about fellow human beings, and they're not they don't appreciate their humanity, and it seems like it's just hatred. And it's sad, but
Well, that's kind of where we're at. And one of the worst things I'll say that Donald Trump kind of brought with him over the last decade is he's made it okay to have those type of opinions. Even the bad ones, the racist ones, the discriminatory ones. He's made it okay to kind of state that, where before, and I'm not sure it was a ton better if you're hiding it, but you feel that way anyway. But it was kind of better not having to deal with it just out in the open all the time, because it's so out there now. And some of those, I was on, don't ask me why, but I was on X this morning, and I saw a post about kind of a political post, and it was so bad in the comments. I'm like, what in the world? It had nothing to do with the political views. It was all just based on the fact that it was a minority. And people were upset about that. I don't know. I don't know when. Well, I guess it started 8-10 years ago, but that to me is the worst part about what we're dealing with, because you're excluding so many people.
Yeah, I mean, these are Americans.
That's right. And we're a country of immigrants.
Yeah.
The majority of us were not, our people were not born here. We came here.
I'm 1.5 generations. My mother, my grandparents on my mother's side were immigrants, and my father was an immigrant.
Yeah. And I think that's the case for most of us.
And I'm fully American. My father was fully American. My mother was, there's no other place that we would have been. And we're very proud to be Americans. And, it's hard to, people want to exclude and want to say, this is ours now. I'm here. This is ours now. And the rest of you all can go to hell.
I'm here, so forget about everybody else.
Yeah, it's pulling the ladder up after you've gone, after you've risen. It's like pulling the ladder up after you. And it's what keeps this country dynamic is its changing population and its growth. And it's, we don't have enough population growth among the people who were born in this country to sustain a good society, to sustain Social Security, to sustain our government. Immigration makes this country great, and it helps the economy enormously in many ways.
Well, it does. A lot of our construction jobs are done by immigrants, that maybe aren't citizens yet, but they're doing a lot of that hard type of work that's so important. Everybody needs that. If we stop that, or if we do these mass deportations that Trump is kind of talking about, who's going to do that work?
Who's going to work in the agriculture?
Yeah,
and making sure that we get food. A lot of people who were born in this country just don't want those jobs, but they still have to be done.
Yeah, they're so important, and I mean, we need a better system for our borders. We do. It's not done well. It's not run well. It's not
right. We should have
this.
We could have the same immigration. I think the same numbers of immigration in a manner that doesn't have people sneaking over the border, but getting here legally and being integrated. And that's all a good thing. It's it's just a mess, and I'm not smart enough to figure out a solution to immigration, but I agree with you.
I know the answer isn't just kicking millions of people out of the country. That's crazy.
Of course not. That would be awful. It would hurt so many Americans. A lot of immigrants have children that are American citizens because they were born here. And even if you don't, you're part of a community now, and you can't just get rid of people. It's cruel. It's but sometimes it seems that the cruelty is the point.
Yes.
For Republicans.
Agree. It's I grew up thinking I was Republican. At that time, West Virginia was a blue state, deep blue state. But I was a big Reagan fan. He was such a good speech giver that,
Yeah.
and we had the 84 Olympics. So it was so, kind of USA. And I like Reagan. So I thought grew up kind of thinking I was Republican. As I got older, I realized is actually, the Democratic platform more fit with my views than the Republican side. So I made that change. But today's Republican Party is nothing like that Republican Party.
Oh, it's different.
80s.
Yeah.
It's so different. And we needed younger people coming in. We needed new, but the influx that has come in on the Republican side is terrible. It's just terrible. You don't have any, what I would call, like, once you get past Donald Trump, then what? Who would you put out there that someone's going to be like, yeah, that's who I'm going to vote for? I'm sure they have somebody, but if you're looking at the MAGA group, there's nobody out of that group I would pick.
Oh, I'm just afraid of Don Jr. taking over the legacy.
Well, I'm laughing, but there is a part of me that is very concerned that if Donald Trump gets back in office, that he won't leave.
Yeah.
And we're going to have
a lot of people are
getting
concerned
back out.
Yeah.
And if that happens, then I could, if it becomes more of a dictatorship or a kingship, then maybe it does pass down to Don Jr. And that may be worse.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to imagine, but
it's scary. I think that's what I always do. My argument's always, I might be wrong. I hope I am. I hope if he wins, he's the best president we've ever had. But if I'm right,
yeah, he's the last president we'll ever.
Yeah, I was like, are you? The consequences of me being right, I think, outweigh the consequences of you being right.
Yeah. Kamala. Nobody in their right mind thinks that Kamala is going to end democracy.
No, and now you may disagree with a lot she does, but it'll basically everything's going to be similar to the way it is, I think.
Yeah, it's part of the rule of law, but he's not really committed to that, and that's what makes a lot of people afraid.
Yeah,
is that we know that he's got new norms. He'll do what's best for himself and not worrying about what's best for anyone else. That's his mindset.
Does it surprise you that people are able and willing to separate the person from the political office? Like because everybody kind of admits, Donald Trump, he's not a good person. And most people admit that, both sides. But on the Republican side, they ignore it. They're like, he's still our candidate, so we're going down that road.
Yeah, it's kind of like he's a jerk, but he's our jerk. And at least he's being honest about what a jerk he is, whereas other people kind of hide their, they play to, what's popular, and and they some people just want to feel that everybody has these racist views, and but Kamala just suppresses hers, and he's at least willing to say, take a stance and tell us where he stands.
Even if the people that like him like it.
Yeah, and he's a comedian. I think he's got timing. He's he's very comfortable on stage. Obviously,
there's been times where he has said something that I have found funny. He's actually not always. Sometimes he gets in front of the camera, he's very negative, and I'm not a fan. But occasionally, especially if he's in a good mood and he's in front of the camera, he's not terrible. You can listen to him. So I can kind of understand where somebody might hear him on a good day and be like, yeah, I like this guy. I like this guy. But at some point, it's not like you're hidden from everything else that he is. At some point, the fool
he's not
is going to hit you, and then you got to decide, is this the person for me? I don't know.
Well, also, he's not
but
consistent. He says a lot of things on both sides of the issue.
He does,
and people can choose, they choose the things that agree with them, and they can ignore the things that they don't like.
Yeah.
And if he says, I'm for I'm for blue skies one day, and then he says, I like gray skies. You're going to ignore, he will say them both, and you can ignore the one you don't like and say, I like the time that he said he was serious, or he said he was joking about this, even though it's clear he's not joking when he says these racist things. It's how he feels.
How he feels. Yeah. I know. I completely agree. So
now this is
Go
called,
ahead.
Go, please.
Well, I was just going to ask you, with the movie, Prisoner Trump, The Dawn of Cell Block B, is there a message? Is there something that you're wanting people to get out of it? Or is it just, this is a political satire experience, and here it is?
Well, it's at some point, some ways it's just comfort food. It's reinforcing people's opinions, and in a funny way.
We've always had political satire. It's not like this is new.
Yeah.
So we're kind of used to that, picking fun at both sides at different times. So that part I think shouldn't upset anybody. The fact that it's funny. I was watching, I was laughing. It's funny. I think that the fact that it's really well done, it's well written. That doesn't surprise me that Jim was ad-libbing some of it or kind of improvising a little bit, but you couldn't really tell. To me, he sounded like Donald Trump.
Yeah, it's the message of the movie is kind of just encapsulating, and maybe just again for the audience, encapsulating what I thought was who he was and what was happening, and just to remind people really of the way it was when he was president. He was always in the news. It was always about him. But the movie has kind of a progression of his. It's a metaphor for his term in office. He runs for, he gets to prison. Didn't expect to be there. Didn't expect to be president. He runs for office. He tries to take over power. He's successful, and in his own way, he makes bold decisions. Sometimes are wrong and insane. And then we have lockdown, and but you haven't gotten to that part. But
no, I'm looking forward to that part. We'll be watching that tonight.
Thanks.
So I think maybe Jim is jumping on.
Oh, that would be great. Jim, turn on your camera, please. We're so excited to have you with us.
I know. I'm very excited to speak with the man himself.
Hey, Jim, you got to turn on your camera.
I'm trying.
Okay. We're so close, Jim.
Okay, here we go again. So, hi, Joe. Hi, I'm Valerie, Jim's wife. Okay, so
hi, Val.
Hi, Valerie.
Yeah, I'm trying to see we're doing this on a phone, so I'm trying to
hit the picture, maybe.
We believe in you.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, unmuted.
Yeah, you're unmuted, and probably the same thing having to do with the camera. The same.
There's no camera thing. It says your video stopped. Let's see. There we see Joe.
Hi, Joe.
You can't see him?
Hi, I can't see you.
Not yet.
Okay. Oh, great. Just a second.
Okay.
So we are lucky enough to have actor Jim Storm with us. So welcome, Jim.
Thank you. It's great to be here, and I look forward to talking with you.
Thanks for joining us, Jim. Great to see you.
Well, yeah, Joe and I have had a good conversation about this movie, and I was telling Joe, I've been a fan of yours since the 70s, like the early 70s.
Oh my word!
Like I think the first thing I ever saw you in was an episode of Planet of the Apes, if you can believe that. That's pretty early.
The Young Fisherman. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. I mean, I loved you in Dark Shadows, and you did a Police Woman. I was a big fan of Police Woman back then. Kung Fu, so Yeah, I know Bold and the Beautiful is kind of, that's what most people know you from, but not me.
Well, I thank you. Thank you. There was a life there after Bold and Beautiful, before Bold and Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. But people recognize me from that.
Yeah, that's pretty great. That's pretty great. So I was talking with Joe, but I'll just ask you the same question.
Sure.
Tell me a little bit about the experience of portraying Donald Trump, and especially because you only had about a week to get in character. So talk about that.
Actually, yeah, it was a challenge. I'll tell you that, because it's not something, you want to make it personal. You don't want an impersonation of him.
Right.
And, so you try to pick the moments of where, something truthful can come out for you to exemplify what he's doing.
Right.
I don't know if that's very clear or not, but one thing that, I just, when I first decided to jump ahead and do this, it was like, okay, I'm not an impersonator, like it's not like Saturday Night Live,
Right.
and that's what I wanted to avoid as most of all, but to have some kind of connection of, something that I'm connected with.
Yeah, I kind of love that. Although I thought you actually sounded like Donald Trump.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's one of those things, Mike, that it's people will look at the film and say, "But he's not Donald Trump." What? No, I'm not.
Yeah.
And so, you just have to kind of go with it. But I appreciate your input on the. I mean, you do the best you can with what you had to. Time wise, there was very little time to jump into it. So, and I'm happy I did.
Did your soap opera experience help you with the short turnaround?
Sure. Every time, every time. It's I'd learned back in the day, late '60s, about how to handle cameras and doing soap operas and stuff like that. And it was an education that was just not to be believed. And it's like every job you get, you learn something a little bit more. And so, it was all put to task with this film. So it was great.
Yeah, that's terrific. Joe, I was going, right before Jim came on, I was going to suggest to you that you try a podcast and you put Jim on as Donald Trump and you just let people call in and ask questions. And then,
I'd love that.
Yeah,
That's
just
a
great idea.
Boy, I'm game. You just set it up, I'll do it. Absolutely.
I think that'd be hilarious.
It'll certainly do something.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you wouldn't necessarily have to be polite. You just answer how you thought he would answer.
I just, are you really stupid?
Yeah.
As long as it's a podcast, they have to see me. They're never going to buy it. So
it must be great to just to act as everybody is beneath you and so dismissive of.
Can you imagine what it must be in that head of his? Can you imagine? And this guy
behind all the fur and the moth and the spider
and is his niece or cousin that the one who's against him all the time?
His niece Mary Trump.
Mary Trump. I mean, she has it down, and she's a psychologist, so she knows what she nailed it right from the get-go. So, that's what we're dealing with.
Do you think is he like most of us, is like early in the morning, is he getting up and doing like daily affirmations, you're good enough, Don? Or in his head, is he just I always wonder that. Does he really believe all this stuff he's saying?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think he's a real psychotic.
Yeah, I do.
I really do. I think he's I really do. I think he's just absolutely a sociopath all the way. And it's all about him.
He's very narcissistic, for sure.
To the unbelievable amounts. And the fact that he will not take no or defeat in any way, shape, or form. I watched that debate between him and Harris. And you'd have to be brain dead to say that he won that debate. And yet he stood there in front of his followers and they all believe him. So, I don't know.
Most of them probably didn't watch.
Yeah.
Probably have
And if they
black
did,
and
they
white
watched
TVs.
the little clips.
Yeah, just the
Yeah.
clips.
Yeah, yeah, Fox News. Yeah.
It does, and this is something that Donald does quite a bit, but Harris, Biden, even some. It bothers me that politicians just can't say when they were wrong. Like with Harris, she changed her viewpoints on fracking, different things, and that's
Yeah.
fine. Just
Yeah.
say, when I was younger, I didn't have all the information,
Absolutely. Couldn't
and I
agree
changed
with
my
you more.
opinion.
That's right,
Yeah.
Mike. I absolutely agree with you.
You even
If they
think
could
about all
just
the
say,
social.
look, it was my mistake. I take responsibility
Yeah.
for it.
I think
But-
everybody would respect that, and they'd move.
I do. I don't know why they don't do it, but they don't. So
I remember when don't ask, don't tell seemed like a great move forward for society because we weren't going to outright discriminate again in the military against gays and lesbians, but now that's and then it became despised because it didn't go far enough. But people, societies, they evolve and they get better, and the arc of history is long, but it bends towards justice.
Yeah.
Eventually, you get there, and it's okay to, to say what seemed okay at the time is not okay in this current.
I think, if my memory corrects me, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think with that situation, Obama was anti-gay in the military.
Oh, that was Clinton.
Was that Clinton? And
I
he
think it was
turned
Clinton.
around and said that was a mistake.
Yeah.
Was that Clinton or was it
that was
Obama?
Don't ask, don't tell.
I was surprised because I thought Obama was a lot more liberal than that, and I was surprised. I may be wrong, Joe.
I think it was about marriage. Obama
was gay
not
marriage.
for marriage.
Yeah. But anyway, yes, it was. You're right. You're absolutely. See, there's my facts there. You see, I'm not going to admit that I'm wrong.
Well, but that's the way. I mean, that's every political candidate has something that they've flipped on or they've changed their mind.
Of course,
just say it.
Yep.
They never want to admit
agree
that
with,
they ever had a different view than they have right now.
It's humanity.
But it's the times. It's humanity. It's the times. I mean, it could be a year gone past, and you realize, whoops, I'm rethinking this. And so it's I wish they would do it more often. I wish somebody would be upfront and honest, clear.
Yeah.
So
does and I know the answer, but does the movie portray Donald Trump in a way where he's like he is in person, where 90% of what he's saying isn't the truth or is at least partially inaccurate?
Yes, it is. That's what we went for. Yeah.
He says whatever benefits him, whatever's in his mind at the moment. That's what happens in the movie, and sometimes he makes sense, sometimes he doesn't make sense, but he's pushing ahead anyway.
Oh yeah.
Any stumbles with talking? We've run into those situations where he just kind of trails off. Did you throw any of that in there?
Yeah, there was a lot of challenges in the dialogue. There was a lot of that was difficult to kind of get a hold of. So you had to kind of do an improvisation with it. And I started feeling comfortable towards the end of the film of being able to do that. But at the starting, I really tried to, stay on text, and it was better that we step off of it a little bit. Keep the same idea, keep the same thought,
right?
But make it more
easier
to get out there.
Yeah.
And Jim was doing a great job.
Go ahead, Joe.
And I'm just gonna say Jim did a great job of really understanding the heart behind the text, what the text was trying to say, and just elucidating that in his own way. It wasn't.
Well, thank you, Jim.
Yeah,
thank you.
It's not an impersonation. It's impression.
We always want to stay with the text, and I don't mean it in a disparaging way at all. It's just sometimes it's overweight, and also it kind of takes away from what's going on, what you really want to say and do. And so I'm glad that you feel that way, because I certainly don't mean to say anything derogatory about the text. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, of course.
So
Well, I was going to say that your buddy playing Rudy had even less time to prepare. He was there he had like a day.
Yeah, I was saying Michael Finerty. We had a Rudy that got COVID the day before.
oh
Michael
no,
Finerty,
I didn't know that. I thought he was signed on from. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, he's got a great trailer of dye coming down his side of his head.
I meant to tell you that, Joe, your trailer is really well done.
Oh,
it's very well done. I agree, Mike.
Yeah, it's really good. Did you put like extra effort into the trailer, or was that just how it came out? Because it seemed like you may have put a little extra in that.
It was. I was the movie wasn't like, it didn't have a long time, and the trailer was like, not long, it didn't take a long time to do, but I had a really good person, a really great person to do it, John Kondelik. So he put together a great trailer, and he nailed it. It took like a little bit of, went through another trailer guy first. I paid a kill fee to another trailer, and before I turned to the guy who actually did it, and he just it was, I was afraid of giving away the second half of the movie. Nothing from the second half of the movie is in the trailer. And there are different feelings about trailers. Some trailer editors will include like stuff from the second half or the third act even.
Yeah.
And some won't. I just wanted to make sure that there were surprises when you went to see the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
I like it a lot.
Being surprised a little bit. I mean, you want to be teased a little. You want to be excited about what you're getting ready to see, but you don't want the whole story given to you.
No. Yeah. Otherwise, what's the point of watching the movie? You've seen it all. You've seen the trailer.
Yeah, unless you just love the actor, you're just kind of like, well, I've kind of seen the movie now.
Yeah.
So if Donald wins, do we get a sequel?
Yeah, could be. It could be.
Behind bars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll be behind bars.
There's lots of wacky adventures that Donald Trump could get into in the next episode, but we'll see how this is going.
You could make it a series if you wanted to.
You could. Except I think you'd probably get a lot of flack from his side of the aisle.
Yeah,
I think his team would really say, "Hey, no," he wouldn't allow it. I guarantee you.
Yeah,
not once he's in, I don't think. Although, like Colbert did the cartoon Trump,
and there was the president show too.
Yep,
that's true. And he's still on the air.
He's still on the air so far.
For now, knock on wood.
Oh shoot! Well, Joe,
we laugh, but we're afraid of like the loss of press freedoms. He keeps talking about going after the press, taking away licenses, and we say, oh, he couldn't do that. It's that's just taking it to an extreme. But there's no indication that he really is joking when he says these things.
He's not joking.
He's not joking.
Listen,
he wants people to think he's joking a little so he can get away with it, but he's not.
Yeah, he wants to play both sides. He wants to say what he's just like what happens in the movie. He's saying things that what gets him in trouble is he says things that can be interpreted, in vague ways, and he wants to play both sides so that you'll hear what you want to hear.
That's right. Yeah.
Speaking of that situation, there's something that just came up. The Dark Shadows fan club has about 25,000 fans.
Nice.
And the gentleman who's running this fan club has absolutely forbidden to have show the film or the trailer or anything for anybody that would want to see it. So that's starting right there. I mean, I know it's a
Well,
microcosm.
is it because he's a Trump supporter, or just because he
It's
doesn't want the controversy?
he's a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
And he, we wrote back saying, this is an actor playing a character. This isn't, some wild, progressive statement. But anyway, that's so. I mean, he has the power to stop it. And I started thinking about, the press and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know what to do about it. Just write on my own website or my own.
That's about all you can do about it.
Yeah, there's no. I can't. I mean, I can sign off on Facebook and let it be known that this is, not very kosher. But
Right.
I don't know.
Well, we run into that with our governor here in West Virginia, where he tries very openly to limit the press, and if they say anything negative about him, he just gets rid of them. He doesn't let them cover his stuff anymore.
Right.
That's kind of scary.
It's bedrock democracy.
This is what we're, I mean, we can say Donald Trump, there he is over there. But like when I was listening to a CNN report of a chronological order in which Donald Trump took office and position, and what comes out of it, it's not so. I mean, we all know it's Donald Trump, but it's what those guys in Congress and the House of Representatives and senators and all these governors who are there, they have their eye on something, I mean, it sounds corny to say, but world domination. And I really believe it. I mean, this whole dealing with the press, the corporation struggles, it's scary. It's really scary.
I agree. Yeah, I've said that for a little while, because normally I tend to stay out of the political stuff, but this is one, and I hear a lot of people saying that it's too important.
There you go.
To be involved.
Good for you, Mike. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
You got to speak up.
You have to say it. You do.
Yeah.
So,
I like to joke that I'm the Democratic Party in West Virginia, because there's not very many. I know my vote's kind of throwing it into the ocean, but I think it's important to get it out there.
No, I couldn't agree with you more, and I salute you for being able to do it and not, no, I'm serious. It's cool that you're doing it.
Yeah, it's tough. And there's a few of us here, and I was telling Joe, we were a blue state, like dark blue state for decades. And when Trump came into office, that's when, kind of like the rest of the country, you had all these people that were just unhappy with how things have been going. So they're like, I'm going to vote for this guy. He's stirring it up. I'm going to vote for him. And that's, we flipped. Yeah. We ended up, but now we're very red.
Yeah. Yeah. But you're not alone, because there are a lot of them that, pulled that number. And I
kind of look at it as, and I think Democrats are realizing it now too, is like, you got to make some changes, because you obviously had some very unhappy people, or we never would have had Trump.
Here you go.
So they got to make some, and I think they are. I think they're starting to turn.
Well, I'd like to see it on the Republican side. I'd like to see people like Liz Cheney, more people like her, who, I mean, I don't believe in her politically, our points of view are different, but what she did was so heroic and so true American. I really admire what she's done.
Well, she ended her career, basically.
She put a nail in
it. On principle, and it's tough to make a principled stand.
Absolutely. And the father sticking up to, I mean, of all people, for him to step up and say,
former Republican vice president of the United States.
Yeah. That kind of to me is the factor I don't think people are weighing enough. Is
I don't think
there's
so.
Several hundred Republican, pretty, like 20 years ago, they'd have been the Republican Party, but now they're siding with Harris because they see the danger.
Well, I hope they can voice it out and say something about it. Anyway.
I know. We could go on and on with this.
Yeah. No.
Appreciate you both being here.
Thank you so much, Mike, for having us on.
Mike, this
really
is really very nice. I really appreciate it tremendously. So thank you.
Yeah, you're both so welcome. Joe, where can we see the movie? And is there any do you have social media for it?
Well, we're starting with social media, but you can go to prisonertrump.com. One word, no spaces, prisonertrump.com, and see the movie there. It will soon be available on Amazon and Apple TV. So far, we're still pitching to other platforms. And I think, prisonertrump.com is probably the best way to see it, is the only way to see it right now.
Yeah, that's how we've been watching it. We're just on there watching it on there. So it's been, like I said, we're right at the halfway point and just have loved it so far. That's going to be we're going to eat our dinner and finish it tonight.
Okay.
Very good.
That's great.
Great. That's wonderful. It was a lot of fun to do, man. Even though the days that we had to shoot it and the heat and all the uncomfortableness of it, everybody pitched in. Everybody.
Well, you've got a Halloween costume now forever.
I've got it hanging up with me, and it's traveled to Europe with me. So,
great.
It's great. I want to steal that hairdo, though. I got to steal that thing.
He got some hair.
Yeah.
Jim, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me on Jim Storm Photography at gmail.com.
Yep.
That's the website that brings my wife and I and
it's
photographic
world. JimStormPhotography.com, because that's where they're great photographers, Jim and his wife Valerie, and that's where their stuff is available for their photography, and very talented.
Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. I thought that was you, Jim. I saw it on Instagram, and I was like, well, I'm gonna find out before I follow.
Yeah,
like he must be a photographer.
Oh yeah, yep. It's a real passion.
So. That's terrific. Yeah, my best friend's a photographer and just kind of took it up on the side and fell in love with it. And I can see it. It's art.
Oh boy, is it ever.
Yeah.
It's really we're having a wonderful time with it, and we love getting back to the United States and going in the back roads, and we don't do freeways at all or any way. We just go out and find these small towns and people in them and photograph and talk to them, and it's really great. It's a fantastic thing to do.
Oh yeah, I'm glad we brought that up.
Yeah.
I think.
Do you have like a personal social media?
Yeah, a James Storm official fan group.
James Storm official fan group.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Thanks for tell Val. Thank you for bringing that up.
Because I don't know. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, we have prisoner at prisoner_Trump for Instagram. We have I think it's Prisoner Trump on Facebook.
Yes.
And
it is.
There's an X. I think prisoner_Trump is for X as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Well, thank you both for coming on.
Mike.
I hope we can do it again at some point.
Anytime you want, man.
Yeah, just keep me posted on both.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll keep in touch with you, and I really appreciate your time, Mike. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. Yeah, hold on.
It's been a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Well, I hope you enjoyed that one. The movie is Prisoner Trump, The Dawn of Cell Block B. Right now, you can find it on prisonertrump.com. It'll be everywhere shortly. So keep your eye out for that. Political satire, I think you'll enjoy it. Most of the time, we've been doing this for almost 6 years. I have had a pretty strict rule to keep politics out of the podcast. We've made that kind of a conscious decision not to do that. This last couple of years, I've made the decision to allow a little bit of politics in there because I think it's so important that we stand up in this election. I know a lot of people don't agree with me as far as my support for Harris. and that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. My viewpoint on it, and I don't know if I've stated that on here, but my viewpoint on it is that you've got a status quo currently, and I understand that some people believe they're in a worse situation now than they were 4 years ago, 8 years ago. I get that. I think in some instances you're correct, but I think Harris, safer option, things kind of status quo, democracy continues forward, all of that. I'm not so sure with Donald Trump. I'm pretty sure that if he gets elected, Project 2025 is his actual agenda, and that terrifies me. I think I was listening to one of his rallies yesterday. Last night we're listening to it. I thought the rhetoric sounded very, it sounded very 1940s Germany to me, and that is terrifying. This idea that we're going to mass deport millions of people that are here in the country. How do you think that's going to happen? We're going to have to set up internment camps to put these people. It's not going to be an overnight process. If you're going to move that many people out, they're going to be stuck in a prison camp for months, maybe years with that. That's terrible. That's everything that this country has stood against my entire life for generations. Why in the world we'd want to go against that? And we had that, it's very similar to what we did to the Japanese in the during World War II. Just terrible. We do not want to go back to those situations. It's just not. That doesn't mean we don't need to make reform around the borders. We had that set up to where it was going to be a help. The Republicans were in agreement on it, and we stopped it only because Donald Trump wanted to help himself politically, and that's terrible. Can't do that type of stuff, and that type of selfishness, I think, is another reason why we don't want him in office. And I'm scared to death that we won't be able to get him out of office once he's in, and we don't want a dictator in there. We don't want a king. There's a reason we have term limits. You want my opinion? We need term limits on the Supreme Court too. Seems like a decade term would be plenty. I don't like the lifetime appointment. Not that anybody cares about my opinion, but I think there's a lot of things in this country that we should be able to fix. We should be able to fix healthcare to make sure that everybody has affordable healthcare. Other countries do it. We should be able to do that, so that if you get sick or if you have to have x-rays or MRIs, you can afford to do it. If you got to have insulin, I think it's ridiculous that the Democratic Party is portraying this victory in getting insulin down to an affordable level, but only for seniors. It's ridiculous that any of us are paying the prices that we're paying for that. It's just greed, and that medical system should be fixable. The other one I think should be fixable is the tax system. This whole, not that anybody cares what I think, but, and I'm not very smart, but it seems to me like you could just give a flat tax, no deductions. Every single person, every entity, corporation, everybody pays the same. Whatever it is, 10, 15, 20%, whatever it is, everybody pays it. Nobody gets deductions. You wouldn't even have to do taxes. It should just be automatic that it comes out. Wouldn't that be a better system? The system is set up so that if you have money, you can find all these loopholes to keep that money. While the majority of us that don't have that type of money end up having to pay the taxes. I don't know. That one boggles my mind. It seems like both parties could have fixed that at some point, and we just haven't done it. So a couple areas there I think could be fixable, but that's about as political as I'm going to get on the podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us this week. If you're a fan of the show, or if you're finding us for the first time, I'm so happy that you're here. We've done almost 900 episodes We've been up doing this for about 6 years. I guarantee, I would put our guest list up against any other talk show, podcast, anybody. I guarantee that we've had a ton of people that you're fans of or that you should be fans of. You can find all of those episodes, audio and video versions, on our website, meistercon.com. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. If you go there, please subscribe. Helps us out. It's free. Thank you guys so much. Till next time. Bye, everybody.